Welcome to another episode of Golden Nuggets, Tips and Tales, powered by Property Finder, the platform that celebrates top real estate talent and helps the best get even better. We're going to be exploring exclusive tools from Property Finder that enables and empowers agents to grow, perform, and lead. And we're back with Andrew Cleator, Associate Partner at Knight Frank, prime luxury real estate, been in the industry for 20 years, got some stories to tell, got some tips and tales. I want to know about the deal that still gives you goosebumps to this day. Could potentially be that 145 million dirham deal you closed.
Oh, wow. So you've been looking at my LinkedIn.
I've stalked your LinkedIn, yes.
Oh, dear. Yeah, that was memorable. Goosebumps. Quite a journey. I had a referral. Family moving from the UK. Very much an open budget. I know it's a cliche, but it kind of was an open budget. We looked at properties right across Dubai, from 100 million up to 300 million plus.
What's the difference? 100 million to 300 million? What's the difference?
Give or take, yeah. They just wanted to find something that, was right for them, basically. So I had the clients for 1 week. I had to advise them on all kinds of different aspects, even the hotel that they stayed in. I picked them up every morning, and we had breakfast together, dinner in the evening. And during that week of maybe 20 to 30 viewings, we discussed A to Z on moving to Dubai, the whole relocation, give them advice on schools, which actually, the one I recommended, they've actually put the kids in that school, which is nice. And advice on all walks of life and social situations in Dubai. At the end of the week, we shortlisted 5 villas, and we started to negotiate, and we managed to close the first option for them.
So you literally end up having to be like a tour guide to some degree.
Correct.
It's not just a case of, when are you in town? I'll show you these few properties. You literally dedicated an entire week.
It was very much a velvet glove service for these particular clients, which I realized was required, and ultimately it paid off. Yeah.
Okay. You ended up not blowing the budget. So 145 million. And it's interesting because at that level, how do you even price properties? Because there's not that many comparables to benchmark against. How do you go about assessing what a property is worth when you're over the 100 million mark?
Yeah, I mean, when you get over the 100 million mark, it's normally either a refurbished villa or a villa that's been redone from shell and core. So you can naturally understand, or if you know what you're doing, understand the money that has been spent on the fit out or the upgrade. Look at the windows, look at the kitchens. I think, a Gaggenau kitchen, for example, if somebody's putting a full spec Gaggenau kitchen in, then they're going to put good Swiss windows or German windows in as well. So, it's understanding the value of every item in the house. Yeah. Unfortunately, some sellers think that because their house is on the same street, that one is worth 200. They think theirs is also worth 200, when in theory it's probably worth less than 100. So yeah, you need to have an eye and understand the materials that people are using in these homes.
And what's your advice to sellers? Like, how do you manage their expectations when they come to you thinking, oh, well, if my neighbour's on for 200 million, like you said, they probably think their property's better than their neighbours, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is a common theme when people hear or see that a house is sold on their street, and then suddenly they get an idea, wow, we can get X dirhams for our house. Not really understanding that, that house was renovated to such a high standard. So you have to, advise them. Well, number one is you have to visit the home and inspect it yourself. You can't just give them data and say, this is the average price per square foot in this district or street.
Averages won't cut it.
No, not in the luxury sector, no.
And in terms of these sellers with high expectations, have you ever actually walked away from a seller that was totally unrealistic?
Once or twice, yeah. You know, some prices just make no sense and would actually embarrass the agent by listing it at that price. So, you know, I have actually said, you know, let's speak again in a couple of months, because this isn't going to help anybody.
And you've seen the evolution of the prime buyers' expectations, I guess. So how has that evolved over the past 15, 20 years? What are they expecting now?
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at developers these days, everybody's, or not everyone, but a lot of developers are understanding that, you know, the buyers are looking for more luxury qualities on par with London or Paris, Geneva, for example. So yeah, the level of what's expected these days, you know, because before people were buying a holiday home in Dubai, now probably 3/4 of luxury buyers, it's the primary home. So they really want to find the right house.
And would you say today's luxury buyers are more emotionally driven, or is it still an investment to some sort?
Look, emotion, I think, is the first driver, especially if they're coming with a family, of course. As I said before, it needs to suit the whole family's needs. Happy wife, happy life, etc. But at the end of the day, the numbers need to make sense as well. And typically, people at the luxury sector, you know, they're there for a reason again. And yeah, the numbers need to stack up, really.
And what are you seeing as the main reason for people selling off their prime listings, their prime residences?
Selling in Dubai, you mean? Yeah. I mean, I think more the price level. You know, people have an exit strategy, and when an asset gets to a certain value, then, you know, a lot of people cash in and then look to try to do it again, reinvest. That's probably the main driver.
Okay. And there's a lot of talk right now about the millionaire migration, or in some cases, billionaire migration. A lot of people are moving. What are you finding is that the main reasons for their moves?
Tax implications. It's always been there. That is very important, but more so now the safety. You know, the safety that Dubai offers. I think it's ranked as the second most safe city in the world currently. And you know, the situation in London, in Europe, UK and Europe, should I say? You know, it's a lot safer, more safer environment here in Dubai.
You take your watch with you when you go home?
No.
We leave everything behind.
Yes,
designer handbags, designer shoes, designer watches.
Correct.
We want to kind of dip into the psyche, perhaps, of your prime sellers and your prime buyers. What do you wish they both knew in this current market?
Don't fall for glitz and glamour on social media. It looks very good, but you need to see, or they need to see, that their broker that they're going to appoint will look after them and has the pedigree and the track record to actually get what they need.
Because there's a lot of agencies now opening up, like private office division, or, you know, they're separating it from typical brokerage. Why do you think sellers and buyers need that reassurance that there's like an elite level?
I think that bracket is in properties 20 million plus. And private offices or similar tends to be more rounded agents, more experienced agents that can handle the high net worth individuals, of course. Putting a new broker in with somebody looking to purchase a Palm Jumeirah villa, for example, could be a bit of a disaster.
And is it because most of the buyers are international, so you need to have some kind of connection to an international network as opposed to just a local network?
It helps. It certainly helps. There's a lot of international companies operating and referring clients from their overseas offices. So that international network certainly does help. And if your colleagues overseas already have a relationship with the client that they're sending, it bonds together, basically.
So that prime seller, what 3 questions should he be asking his agent?
I mean, he can check, obviously, if you look at the track records. But, how long in the market, talk about previous sales, and ask lots of questions of your broker. And likewise, the broker should be asking a lot of questions to the potential client as well. It works both ways, actually.
And how do you qualify sellers?
Number one, go to the house, meet them in the house, understand what they're trying to sell, and if their, price expectations is realistic. A lot of times it's not, because they obviously think the market's just running away. Obviously show them the data to understand what the average price per square foot is in the area. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's what the value of their house is, of course, but try to educate them on the market in the whole as well.
And what about prime buyers? What advice do you have for them? What do you wish they knew?
Obviously, the glitz and glamour of Dubai real estate. I think a lot of prime buyers come to Dubai, start off with brokers that they've seen online or on social media, and then revert back to the more traditional, more experienced dinosaurs.
Qualification at this level. How do you personally qualify a buyer?
If it's a referral, then there's obviously a track record from your referrer or the relationship that they have. But yeah, if it's a new buyer, just ask as many questions. If they're a real genuine buyer at that price level, they don't mind discussing, how much they want to spend and the financial background, etc. If somebody's reserved and doesn't want to speak, then there's possibly a reason behind that, and not really a good sign.
Do you often Google your clients?
Not often, always.
Always, okay.
Everybody has a digital footprint these days, or nearly everybody. So, immediately you can be more comfortable understanding who you're actually dealing with, the background they come from, the profession, etc.
Okay. So not only are you Googling your clients, but also they're Googling you. So what do they expect to see about the agent?
Yeah, I think these days with social media, it's quite important to keep your personal profiles and your professional profiles separate. Naturally, first impressions, if somebody or a client does Google you, they don't want to see you lying on a beach or whatever.
I disagree with that. I think it's good to have a bit of character, a bit of your personality, because it is all about personal branding nowadays.
Correct.
And they want to see that you've got a life outside of real estate. Not that many people do have much. But yeah, okay, they don't necessarily want to see you partying every weekend, but it's good to have a bit of your personal brand in there. No?
Correct. Personal branding, yeah. Obviously, if you're a super agent on Property Finder, that goes a long way. I don't know, on the company website, post your reviews or track record, basically. I think it's very important to shine out, really.
And while I was stalking you, I also noticed you were awarded one of the top 20 trusted agents in Dubai.
Correct. Quite a while ago now, I think 7 or 8 years ago. I'm not sure how it was compiled, but I ended up in the top 20, awarded top 20 most trusted agents in Dubai, which was quite an accolade.
Was that like a public vote or something? You're not sure how it was?
Times magazine, it was, Property Time. I was published in a hardback book, and there was quite an interesting set of 19 other agents in there. So
you say interesting?
Well, reputable, should I say.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like you doubted their trust. No. All right. Well, shout out to the top 20 and shout out to all the other super agents as well. What do you think differentiates a super agent from a regular agent?
Yeah, obviously there's a quality of the listings, etc., and the content, the photos. But I think the most important thing is the feedback that clients give. Obviously, 1 to 5 star rating, and you need to maintain a high feedback to maintain the super agent.
Right. How long have you had it for?
Yeah, so maybe 2 years now.
And do you think you've won business off the back of it?
I think so, yes.
Getting listings and being on page 1 makes all the difference.
Yeah, and having 5 out of 5 as your reviews is exemplary.
All right. Well done, you.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, catch the rest of Andrew's. In your next episode, we're going to talk about what life was like back in 2005, Dubai real estate. You're not going to want to miss some of these stories. And while you're at it, why not binge on the whole season?